What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bios3 Raw TV. I got tagged in a post on Facebook. It was Facebook. A buddy of mine, Johnny Rogers, up in Rhode Island, had tagged me in a post, and it had this little kid in like a video, or it was just pictures or something like that. It's not the little kid Hercules, Richard Sandrak, or whatever his name is. There's another kid, and I've seen videos of this kid before. He's from another country. I think he's from, like, I don't know, Czechoslovakia. I forget where he's from, but his parents are acrobats or gymnasts or something like that, and they have him doing these, gymnastic, acrobatic type things, and these strength moves that, obviously are very difficult for a kid or anyone else to do. But his body's very developed. He's very muscular for a kid, and very strong. And he's young. I think he's less than 8 years old. I mean, he looks very, very young. And again, going back to the Richard Sandrak, whatever his name was, the little Hercules kid, they found out later on that the kid was actually on steroids. His father gave him steroids from like age 8 or something like that. And the mother actually had finally had him arrested for child abuse because he was giving him these drugs when she found out. Now, Johnny's question was, when you see this kid working out, was, when is it too early? And are there any long-term effects of having your kids start training young? Gymnasts usually start training when they're very young, tumbling and stuff like that, and they move on to their individual events. And a lot of times they don't grow very tall. Now, the reason why they don't grow very tall is not because of the training, it's because they starve them nutritionally to actually keep them at a certain weight in size and height. They do that specifically so that they will be gymnast size, because you have to be a certain size for a gymnast. You're not going to be a 6'5" gymnast. They figure if you got the tumbling skills and you have a predisposition to be a good gymnast, they're going to keep your ass at, like, 4'11" or 4'8" or whatever the fuck it is to be a gymnast. So that has nothing to do with the training. Now, when we were kids, we were told, well, you're too young to train, and there was really no scientific evidence to back it up. There was nothing other than your mom and dad pretty much telling you you're too young. And then, a little bit later on, maybe when I was like a teenager, like a mid-teens, like 15, 16, you started to hear the stuff about how weightlifting when you're too young could stunt your growth. It could actually make you, not grow as tall as you normally could. Now, it was kind of developing from there, and there really was no studies that backed that up. There was nothing saying that if your kid starts working out with weights, this is going to happen. But doctors would tell people this to say, don't have your kids start working out till he's 18 or whatever the case may be. And some people, they wouldn't let their kids work out till they were out of high school or whatever. Like we had high school gyms and stuff, which is interesting because, you had gyms in high schools, and you actually had gyms in, not full gyms, but you had gyms in middle school, and you had workouts that you did for athletic performance for soccer, football, whatever the case may be, and you had the physical fitness test. Wouldn't the stress on the body do the same thing as the weightlifting or the other kinds of exercise? It's all exercise when you boil it down to it. But, as time's gone along, again, there's been no studies out there that prove if your kid starts working out at 11 that he's going to be short. I mean, Rich Piana started working out at, like, I think he said he was like 11 or 12. He's like 6'2". I mean, obviously it didn't stunt his growth, and he's really big muscle-wise, so it didn't mess with his skeletal frame. It didn't mess with the way his muscles developed. He's flexible and athletic. So, I mean, obviously, you could say, well, he's, just one of whatever, but nowadays we're seeing kids in our gyms now actually start training earlier. Like, our gym has a lot of people in there that train for sport-specific things. We have, girls basketball, boys basketball. There's a feeder school over here, Georgetown Prep, that feeds people into Georgetown University, Maryland University. I mean, there's some big schools around here that, these kids, by the time they get into college, 18 years old, they have to be playing at a certain level, of intensity, and have to be at a certain level to be able to compete to get those scholarships and stuff. Those kids are starting out pretty young. We have 7, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds in our gym training right now with, they train with weights, they train athletic performance, agility drills, are doing all this stuff, and these kids are still growing up to be 6'5", 6'6". They're still playing basketball in hopes, they're going to play in college in hopes that they're going to play in the NBA. So we're not seeing anything roundabout that proves if you start working out young, it's going to stunt your growth. So where does it come from, like the whole stunted growth workout thing? I don't fucking know. It's just a myth. It's a complete myth. Somebody said it somewhere, and it spread. How it spread, I have no fucking clue. But I do know for a fact that, like, I've known people throughout my whole life. They may have been working out and they were short. And they're like, oh, it's because he started out. His fucking father's 5'3". His mother's 5'2". No, he's 5'4" because he's genetically prone to be that big. I mean, what the fuck? It just, you know, people never stop and think. They automatically blame things on weightlifting, steroids. They automatically blame, and I have no idea how it's demonized. Because let's face facts, if your kid gets into a good, and I'm not saying you should be a powerlifter or bodybuilder, but a good routine at a young age, and understands that if he works out, he'll be able to maintain or, you know, build muscle mass. At the very least, maintain muscle mass and strength as he gets older. And good habits now will pay dividends when he's older. I mean, why wouldn't you want to start now? I mean, you start brushing your teeth when you can fucking hold a toothbrush. That's supposed to last through your entire life, right? So why should this be any different? Not that lifting weights is like brushing your teeth. You should always brush your teeth, kids. But I mean, if the kid wants to start lifting weights and he likes it and he's responding to it and he's not having, you know, any injuries and stuff, he's doing proper form and he really enjoys it, I really don't see any reason why it can't be done at an early age. But I do think that a parent should supervise it, not specifically because you don't want them to get too bulky or strong, because you don't want them to drop a fucking weight on their head or something when they're young. You don't want to put them on a flat bench press, give him a 25-pound dumbbell, tell him to press it, and he drops it on his face. I mean, that's not good for the kid. He may never want to go to the weight room again. I mean, you know, obviously it needs to be supervised when they're young, but I think if they're into it and they want to do it, it's fine. Biosretraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.biosretraining.com is the site. Let the kids start young bicep, and we're out.